might have to come in and steal this.
Okay.
Be flexible.
Okay. If it is overflowing, what room do I send them to?
It's 91, 93, 95. I can't tell you for sure which room because RSA is probably going to take up
91, not 291 or 191.
No, it's
91.
It is on the first floor.
Okay.
Around kind of over here.
91, 93, 95. Okay, thank you. Good, how are you?
Fine. Do you remember the address that we need to get? Do we need the internet or?
For this session, not necessarily. I mean, if you want to follow along and check out some websites, yes.
Okay, but what's the
It's LPS guest Wi-Fi is the password. And the LPS guest is the actual network you choose.
Sorry, they remember something.
Can I come up and look at your bananas? What did you do?
You can. It's actually for my second session, not this session,
Oh,
but
It looks cool. I think that would just interest the child.
We can energize them.
I think that would interest all kids.
What is
what's that?
What is your afternoon class?
This is the second one. It's not. It's a makerspace.
I think
It's
I'm
the
coming to it.
10 a.m. right after this class.
Did we have it?
So
Oh, yeah.
and it's the only one. It's the only time today. So I set this up for a quick hour and then turn it down.
Yeah, how fun.
Yes. Oh, on there? How are you?
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Yes, Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah, I did that. Yeah. Oh, I did see both of you.
Good morning. Everybody started at the back and go front.
Just like that.
girl that I teach with, it's no longer, she got it wrong. Attachment. She lives in Walmart.
Thank you.
It's still a new, it's still a new. Like it other schools, like it was sixth grade, it's in those. Now it's not. But yeah, generally, sixth grade art. Yes. That's what I was.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kurt Bernhardt. I'm the Executive Director of Education Technology for the State Department of Ed. I handle anything and everything tech for the State Department, from special ed to assessment technology, getting broadband to schools, and also technology in the classroom. This session's about open educational resources. Who has an idea what open educational resources are? New term for most people? Okay. Basically, open educational resources are digital resources made for teachers that they can use for free. Depending on the license, a lot of them you can modify. This is a definition by the Hewlett Foundation, who's heavily involved in education. Open educational resources are teaching, learning, and research resources that reside in the public domain or have been released under an intellectual property license that permits their free use and repurposing by others. It's not just text, it can be any type of resource. It can be videos, it can be simulations, it can be lesson plans, games, assessments, just anything and everything. All of these resources are being created. There's hundreds of thousands of them out there ready to be used. It's just a matter of finding them. One thing to note, we are talking digital resources, but it doesn't require a one-to-one environment. You don't. Every student doesn't have to have a device. A lot of these resources are designed for the teachers. So just want to make sure everybody understands that one-to-one devices are not required. It is, if you've got a lot of student resources, if you create digital textbooks even, having devices can help, but also you can also print the resources. Broken Arrow is kind of leading the way with open educational resources, and some of their grades are one-to-one and some aren't, and they print textbooks out for those grades that are not one-to-one. A little lesson about open versus free. They're not quite the same thing. Open educational resources are free, but not all free things are open. Just three different types, basically. You've got open educational resources, which are free, and they are open so that you can take them, modify them, whatever you might do. There's a lot of resources like Smithsonian Education. Great resources. You can use those for free, but they are copyrighted. You can't change them. You can't make copies of the content. Then there's proprietary textbooks, which are completely not free, and they are all copyrighted. Creative Commons is an organization that came up with a licensing structure for these resources. As they put it on their website, it helps you legally share your knowledge and creativity to build a more equitable, accessible, and innovative world, unlocking the full potential of the internet to drive a new era of development, growth, and productivity. So what they created, they basically created 4 different categories, 4 different icons, as I call them, for labeling these resources. First one, the little person inside a circle there, they also have two letter acronyms, which is BY for attribution, BY. Basically, attribution, all that is basically you can use these resources for free, but you have to say where you got them from. So you have to, in your copy, you basically have to say that you've got these from CK12 or other sites, other people. The share alike, little circle and the arrow inside the circle, basically that says if you're using these resources, you take somebody's resources, for instance, say they just have the buy icon on them, you can't go and take those resources, change them, and put a more restrictive license on them. You have to share them just like they're sharing. Third one is non-commercial. $, basically says you can use these resources, but you can't make money off those resources. You couldn't, if it doesn't have the non-commercial, you could actually take them, create a book of resources, whatever it might be, and sell that. No derivative works, so the equal sign basically says you can use these resources, they are free, but you can't change them. So that's kind of the most restrictive part of Creative Commons licensing. So you take those 4 parts, and it basically creates 6 different licenses. I'm also going to mention the one up top, public domain. If you have anything that's marked public domain, that means the creator of the content has given up all rights. You can do whatever you want with those resources. And then the other 6, from top to bottom, is least restrictive. It's just attribution. So you just have to say where you got the resources from. All the way down to the bottom, you've got attribution, non-commercial, no derivatives, kind of the most restrictive. Basically, you have to say where you got it from, you can't make money off of it, and you cannot change it. That's just a little brief description of Creative Commons. CreativeCommons.org is the website if you wanted to learn more. So why would you want to use open educational resources? These are the top 10 benefits we came up with regarding OER. First of all, align the standards. If you're using a textbook that's a national textbook, it may not be perfectly aligned to our standards. If you're creating your own resources, you can start with the standards and make resources that perfectly match those standards. Lower cost, as I mentioned, basically these are all free. Unlike a textbook where you might spend $100 to $200 a piece, the only cost of open educational resources is the time to acquire them and put them together. And if you print them, then there's going to be a small printing fee. Third is streamlined. If you're using a textbook that's created for science, for instance, it may have 20 chapters. 5 of the chapters you don't really care about. It's something you just skip as you go through. With OER, you basically create just what you want. You only put the chapters in there that you want. So it's perfectly aligned. Easily accessible. Since these are digital resources, they can be accessed from a smartphone, a tablet, a Chromebook, a computer. So students could have a copy of those on any device, which kind of goes along with number 5, personal copies. Unlike a textbook which students just use in the classroom, these are digital copies. If it's like a one-to-one environment or whatever it might be, the students have their own copy. They can highlight, they can write notes in the margins, they can do whatever they want, and it's theirs to keep. Interactive doesn't have to just be static text. It can be videos, simulations, all different types of things to engage the students. 7 is easily updated. With these, since these are digital resources that you've created, that you've pulled together, you go through 1 year and decide, I didn't really like that lesson, didn't really like that experiment, simulation, whatever it might be. We'll change it for next year. Very easy to make changes, and then you modify it as you see fit. Relevant to Oklahoma, I've got a great example from Missouri. There's a history teacher in Missouri that he used to use textbooks, and then 4 or 5 years ago he just started creating his own resources. And during his Civil War section, basically, instead of what the national textbooks do, they focus more on the larger battles that happened in Virginia, Maryland, and other places on the East Coast. a lot of stuff happened in Missouri, so he actually brings local battles into his lessons. And it's a lot more meaningful for the students. They're like, oh, that's just down the road. So makes it a lot more relevant. 9, encourage collaboration. Putting these resources together, typically the teachers of one subject, or if it's the entire district, they all get together, they all collaborate, they all work together. Possibly partnering with other districts, that's something that's very feasible. Broken Arrow, like I mentioned, they've got their resources. They are looking for partners, if anybody else who wants to create resources in different subject areas. And gaining support, we just launched a full initiative on open educational resources, trying to push those across the country as a better way to educate children. And we have decided, as of February, we jumped on board, and we are what's called a Go Open State. If you're on Twitter at all, you can follow hashtag Go Open, and basically it's all the different states and the USDE talking about what they're doing. But this is basically saying that we are committed to open educational resources, and we're going to help implement those across the state. And as Joseph South, he's the head of the Office of Ed Tech for the State Department of Ed, U.S. Department of Ed, excuse me. Basically just talks about how all the states working together will be a powerful source of helping create great resources. So these are the 15 states that have jumped on board. We're kind of the only one in the center of the U.S., so we can help lead the region. So when we said, okay, we're a Go Open State, what does that mean? We've got 5 things that we are going to be doing. First of all, we're going to be implementing a technology strategy that focuses on OER. We're going to develop and maintain a statewide repository. That's kind of the big part. We're basically going to create an online database of these resources that are created by Oklahoma districts, teachers, and everything, and make it available to all to search. I will share that one of the platforms we're looking at and other states are looking at is Amazon Inspire. And it's very similar to shopping on Amazon. You basically go to Amazon Inspire and you'll be able to put in 5th grade science or and basically pull up resources. They'll all be rated 5-star rating system. We will have the ability to mark things as approved by a district, approved by a state, just to help label the different resources. And we will be uploading our standards so that you can actually search by standard, individual standard, and then it'll show some resources. That'll be coming soon. By the end of the school year, we should have that available. Then we're going to publish all that. All the states who are Go Open States will be publishing all of their resources in a national database called the Learning Registry. And show you that real quick. You just go to learningregistry.org. And after I get past the security here.
Sorry, where did you say you go?
Learningregistry.org. And let's see why. Interesting, it's not going to share anything but the presentation. Okay, yeah. Never good when the technology person has a problem with technology. So there's a lot of descriptive text up there that talks about what they are and everything else, but if you scroll down to the bottom, they've got a searchable database. There's 388,000 different items in there right now. This is getting ready to be overhauled. CCSSO is taking over this project for the USDE, and we'll be making changes. But you can see there's 68,000 science resources, 13,000 math resources. So quite a few resources out there. They can be videos, they can be text, lessons, just a little bit of everything. Oh, and it starts at the beginning. That's not good. Other two things that we're going to be doing, I've already been participating in a community of practice with all the other states that are working on open educational resources. So we get together, share ideas, learn about what everybody else is doing, so that we're all not reinventing the wheel. Then the last thing is creating a web page to share what OER are and basically giving links out to the different things, Learning Registry and everything. Just to let you know, the USDE has created 3 task forces for this OER initiative. And one of the task forces is content vetting and content acquisition. I'm co-chairing that committee with the state of Washington. And so we're going to be using some rubrics such as these just to help, and we'll be sharing these with districts as far as how to vet resources to make sure that they're aligned to our standards and everything else. So who in here has any districts started? Have you started talking about OER?